Picture this. You've spent your whole life walking a path paved by someone else's expectations. Every step you take, you wonder, am I enough? You shape your words, your choices, your very identity just to fit in, to be accepted, to be seen. You silence your truth to avoid judgment. You sacrifice your peace just to meet standards that were never yours to begin with. You carry 100 invisible weights, not realizing most of them were handed to you by a world that never truly saw you. But here's the hard truth. The more you care about being everything to everyone, the further you drift from yourself. What if the freedom you've been chasing all along was never about doing more, achieving more, or proving more? What if it was simply about letting go? Letting go of the need to impress. Letting go of the fear of being misunderstood. Letting go of the illusion that your worth depends on anything or anyone outside of you. Centuries ago, a quiet revolutionary named Michel de Montaigne cracked this code. He dared to live differently. He questioned the rules, the noise, and the pressure to perform. He walked away from the relentless pursuit of perfection and towards something far deeper, inner peace. And what he discovered may just change how you see your own life. Because here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to control everything, everything starts falling into place. Opportunities, connection, clarity. It all begins to flow. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're finally aligned with who you really are. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why not caring, not in the way you think, might be the most powerful thing you ever do. If that idea stirs something in you, hit that like button and subscribe for more soul-deep explorations that just might shift your world. Now, let's begin this journey together. What if everything you've been taught about caring, about working harder, proving your worth, and always being in control, was actually keeping you stuck? Think about it. How much of your daily energy is spent worrying about things outside of your control? What they think of you, whether you're doing enough. If you're falling behind, we hustle, we strive, we overthink, all in the name of being enough. But here's the truth no one tells you. The more you care about everything, the more life feels like a constant uphill battle. And the moment you stop, not give up, but truly stop caring about the noise, everything starts falling into place. Let me explain. When you stop caring about being perfect, you finally give yourself permission to be real. When you stop caring about being liked by everyone, you start attracting the right people. And when you stop obsessing over outcomes, you begin to experience the freedom of simply being present. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? We're told that caring more means we're responsible, ambitious, emotionally intelligent. But there's a difference between caring deeply about what matters and carrying the weight of what doesn't. Michel de Montaigne understood this centuries ago. He saw how we tie ourselves in knots over appearances, how we torment ourselves with what-ifs, and how we become prisoners of our own minds. He posed a radical idea. What if peace, power, and clarity aren't found by pushing harder, but by letting go? Letting go of the fear of being misunderstood. Letting go of the idea that you have to be constantly on. Letting go of the need to prove yourself to people who were never meant to understand you in the first place. Because here's what happens when you stop caring in the right way. You start hearing your own voice again. You begin to make choices that feel aligned, not approved. You notice the small joys. The way the sunlight hits your skin. The sound of your own laughter. The peace that comes with no longer chasing. And something magical happens. People feel your energy shift. They're drawn not to your perfection, but to your presence. Opportunities arise not because you begged for them, but because you're finally open enough to receive them. And most importantly, you begin to trust yourself. You stop looking outward for permission. You stop bending to fit into spaces that were never built for you. You become rooted in your own truth. And that, right there, is where real confidence lives. Let's be clear. This isn't about becoming numb, selfish, or disconnected. It's about releasing what's not yours to carry. It's about shifting your focus from controlling outcomes to creating alignment. Because the more you try to control every piece of your life, the more you block the flow of it. But the moment you release the grip, that's when things begin to align. You make decisions more clearly. You speak more freely. You stop over-explaining. You start living on your own terms. So let me ask you this. What are you holding on to that you don't need to care about anymore? Is it someone's opinion? A version of success that doesn't fit you? The pressure to always be okay? What would happen if you simply let it go? You see, when you stop caring about the wrong things, you make space for the right ones. Peace, connection, clarity, purpose. They were never gone. They were just buried under layers of unnecessary worry. If this message speaks to you, if you're tired of carrying what was never meant to be yours, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Because every week, we're diving deeper into ideas that help you live lighter, freer, and more fully yourself. Michel de Montaigne's philosophy is not just a historical curiosity. It's a compass for modern life. It's a reminder that when you stop caring, truly stop caring about what doesn't matter, everything begins to fall into place. And in the next part of this journey, we'll explore exactly why this happens, how letting go doesn't lead to apathy, but to power, and how detachment can be the secret to building deeper, more meaningful relationships. Stay with me. The journey is only beginning. Have you ever met someone who walks into a room and instantly draws attention? They don't speak the loudest. They don't try the hardest. Yet somehow, all eyes turn toward them. There's something magnetic, almost effortless, about their presence. So what's their secret? It's not perfect posture or a rehearsed smile. It's not a long list of achievements or a carefully curated image. It's something deeper, something quieter. It's detachment. Not the kind that shuts people out, but the kind that says, I don't need your approval to know who I am. That kind of confidence doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from freedom, from not needing to prove, from no longer chasing validation, from finally letting go. Michel de Montaigne understood this centuries ago. He knew that the most charismatic people are not those who try to impress, but those who are simply at peace with themselves. And here's the paradox. The less you try to be liked, the more likable you become. The less you try to prove, the more powerful you appear. The less you care about being perfect, the more human and relatable you feel. Because people are drawn to authenticity. We don't connect with polished masks. We connect with truth, with presence, with people who give us permission to be real by being real themselves. When you stop obsessing over how you're being perceived, you unlock something powerful. You start speaking from your heart, not from a script. You listen more. You breathe easier. You begin to radiate something the world is starving for. Genuine self-trust. Think about the people who have inspired you most. Were they flawless? Or were they courageous enough to be honest, vulnerable, and unapologetically themselves? That's where real confidence lives. Not in loud declarations or rigid control, but in the quiet strength of someone who knows who they are and is no longer performing. This kind of presence is not achieved by adding more. It's uncovered by stripping away, by releasing the need to be admired, by letting go of the fear of being misunderstood, by allowing yourself to be exactly as you are. Because once you no longer need the room to approve of you, you begin to own the room without saying a word. So if you've ever wondered why some people seem to glow from within, it's not magic. It's clarity. It's self-trust. It's the lightness of no longer carrying things that were never yours to begin with. And the good news is, you don't need to become someone else to feel this. You just need to come home to yourself, to remember who you were before the world told you who you had to be. Letting go doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful, because now you're no longer controlled by the opinions, moods, or judgments of others. You're rooted, you're grounded, you're finally free. If you've felt stuck trying to be everything to everyone, if you've been overthinking every word, if you've been shrinking your truth to avoid rejection, this is your invitation to stop, to release, to return to your center. Because the truth is, when you stop caring in the right way, you don't lose connection, you deepen it. People sense your wholeness. They feel safer around your calm. They trust your silence as much as your words. That's charisma. That's confidence. That's the power of letting go. If this resonated with you, tap the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're building a space for truth, freedom, and real connection. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore how detachment doesn't isolate us. It actually makes room for the deepest, most meaningful relationships of your life. So stay with me. You haven't seen the best of this yet. We often believe that the more we hold on, the stronger our relationships will be. We cling, we manage, we overthink, thinking that control keeps people close. But here's the truth. The deepest connections don't come from control. They come from allowing others to be themselves, allowing yourself to be seen, honestly and imperfectly, allowing space, not just for words, but for silence, vulnerability, and truth. Letting go isn't walking away from love. It's removing the pressure that suffocates it. It's giving up the exhausting need to be everything for everyone and finally showing up as yourself. Think about the relationships that feel most peaceful. Are they the ones where you're constantly adjusting? Or the ones where you feel safe to just be? When you stop trying to manage every detail of how others see you, connection becomes easier. Because real intimacy isn't built on performance. It's built on presence. Michel de Montaigne understood this. He saw how much energy we waste trying to shape others, to be understood, to fix every small moment. But the truth is, when you let go of needing to be perfect, people connect with you more deeply, because you are finally real. You don't need to impress people to be loved. You need to be present with them. And you can only do that when you stop performing and start living. Letting go also means releasing expectations. We often carry silent frustrations, hoping others will meet standards we never communicated. That leads to resentment, distance, and disappointment. But when you release those hidden scripts, you allow room for compassion, for forgiveness, for grace. You stop needing people to behave a certain way for you to feel whole. You begin to accept that everyone, like you, is a work in progress. You connect, not because you agree on everything, but because you hold space for each other's truth. And yes, sometimes letting go means releasing relationships altogether, not out of anger, but clarity. Because peace is more important than pretending. Letting go is not abandonment. It's an act of trust. Trust in yourself. Trust that what's meant for you won't need to be forced. Trust that love, when it's true, won't demand your exhaustion in exchange for belonging. This shift in mindset transforms everything. Conversations become easier. You stop needing to be right. You listen more deeply. You express yourself more freely. You allow the connection to grow naturally, not from pressure, but from mutual presence. And in doing so, you become someone others feel safe around. Not because you fix them or please them, but because you've done the work of letting go inside yourself. So ask yourself, where are you holding on too tightly? Where are you trying to control something that needs to breathe? When you release that grip, you don't lose love. You invite a truer, deeper version of it. One that is honest, whole, and free. If this message speaks to you, tap like, subscribe, and stay with me. Because in the next part of our journey, we'll explore how letting go isn't surrender. It's the greatest act of inner strength. Let's keep going. You're closer to freedom than you think. We've been taught that strength means control. That to succeed, we must push, force, and never let go. But there's a quieter kind of power, one that doesn't shout or fight, one that simply releases, letting go. To many, it looks like giving up. But those who've lived through overthinking, fear of judgment, and the pressure to be perfect, I know a deeper truth. Letting go isn't defeat. It's freedom. It's choosing peace over pressure, presence over performance. It's realizing that not everything needs to be held so tightly. Michel de Montaigne understood this centuries ago. He saw that much of our suffering doesn't come from what happens to us, but from how tightly we resist it. We try to control life, yet life was never meant to be controlled. It's meant to be experienced, to be moved through, to be felt, not fixed. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you stop demanding certainty in a world that was never meant to be predictable. It means you stop exhausting yourself trying to hold on to something that no longer fits who you are becoming. And when you do, you don't lose control. You gain clarity. Clarity about who you are, what really matters, where your energy truly belongs. Letting go is the moment you stop fighting against what is and finally choose to move with it. You drop the masks. You quiet the noise. You step into the present. And in that space, something powerful happens. You begin to trust again. Not the world, but yourself. You no longer need every answer, every plan, every person to validate your worth. You remember that you are already whole. Letting go doesn't make you passive. It makes you awake. You respond instead of react. You listen instead of defend. You lead with stillness instead of fear. Think of nature. The river flows forward, not by force, but by surrender. The tree lets go of every leaf when the time is right, and the sky releases the storm so that the light can return. So ask yourself, what are you still holding on to that is weighing you down? What would happen if you finally released it? Letting go is not about walking away from your life. It's about stepping more fully into it. It's choosing to stop chasing what isn't meant for you and allowing space for what is. It's saying, I no longer need this pain to prove I care. I no longer need this outcome to feel worthy. I no longer need to carry what was never mine. And in that surrender, you don't become smaller. You become so much more yourself. If this message speaks to where you are right now, hit like and subscribe. This space is here to remind you of one thing. You don't have to conquer life. You just have to come home to yourself. And in the next part, we'll explore how letting go not only gives you peace, but opens the door to purpose and fulfillment you never expected. The path forward is not in holding tighter. It's in trusting deeper. Let's keep going. Here we are, at the end of the journey, or maybe the beginning of something far more real. By now, you've heard the whispers that letting go is not loss. That surrender is not weakness. That detachment doesn't disconnect you. It opens the door to something much deeper. And now we arrive at the paradox. The more you release, the more life gives you. It doesn't make sense at first. Not in a world that tells us to hold on tighter, to grip every opportunity, to chase every dream, to earn every ounce of approval. But life doesn't flow on tension. It flows on trust. When you let go of needing to be chosen, you become magnetic. When you stop seeking validation, you become undeniable. When you no longer fear being misunderstood, you begin to speak with a voice that moves hearts. Because freedom has a frequency, and when you're in it, people feel it. You stop chasing what was never meant for you, and what's truly yours begins to arrive. Not with a bang, but quietly, naturally, like breath returning to the lungs. This is the rhythm of trust, the music of surrender. Think about the moments that changed your life, the ones that truly mattered. Were they always part of the plan? Or did they surprise you? Find you when you stopped forcing? Arrive when you finally exhaled? Letting go does not mean doing nothing. It means doing from a place of clarity, of peace, of presence. It means showing up without attachment, giving without expectation, loving without fear. And in return, life opens up in ways control never could. The right people come, the right doors open, the right timing unfolds. Not because you chased it, but because you created space for it. You stopped trying to bend life to your will and started letting life move through you. This is not spiritual theory. It's the lived experience of anyone who has dared to release, to trust, to let go of the outcome and fall in love with the process. When you let go, you don't lose your power. You finally access it, because your power was never in controlling the world. It was in choosing how you move through it, from fear or from faith, from scarcity or from presence, from performance or from truth. The world responds not to what you want, but to who you are being. And when you become someone who no longer grasps, who no longer begs, who no longer shrinks, you become someone who receives with grace, who gives from overflow, who walks in quiet confidence, because you trust that what is meant for you will find you, and what leaves was never yours to hold. This is the paradox, the irony, the magic. Let go, and watch what comes rushing in. Peace, clarity, love, opportunity, flow. It's all waiting, just beyond the fear, beyond the grip, beyond the noise. So here, at the end of this path, let this be your reminder. You don't need to control life. You need to trust it. You don't need to chase more. You need to open more. You don't need to fight harder. You need to release deeper. And in that release, everything changes. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lacking. You are exactly where you're meant to be. And the next chapter, it begins not with effort, but with trust. If this series has spoken to your heart, hit like, subscribe, share this with someone you love, someone who needs to hear this truth. Because the world doesn't need more people chasing perfection. It needs more people living free. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Let go and let life begin.